Hello, everyone. This is Kama with the online talk show Kama Speaks. And today I am speaking with Traci Ward. I'm really excited about this guest because of her topic. She talks about I am enough. A lot of us don't think we're enough. I've been there where I didn't feel like I was enough. So today we're going to get in more depth with Traci about being enough. Thank you so much, Traci, for being on the show.
All right. Thank you so much, Kama, for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, you are so welcome. Today, before we did the show, I seen a video on Facebook and you were talking about being relentless, and you kind of gave some information and some background, which I'm sure you're going to get into. And one of my biggest fears was being a statistic when I divorced my ex-husband, and now I'm without a husband raising 3 children, and I did not want to be a statistic. And you talked about that's something that you dealt with. So I can't wait to talk to you further. I'm going to give the floor over to you. Just tell everybody about a little more about who you are, where you're from, and let's talk about I Am Enough.
Sounds good. Good evening. I am Traci Ward, and I am known as the Women's Empowerment Expert. I am from Topeka, Kansas, and I tell you, I'm so excited about I Am Enough. That is the platform in which I speak from. And I Am Enough derived from the fact that, oftentimes we as women, there are things that have happened in our lives at times, and these things that affect us. And as we grow up from little girls into women, we have these damaged areas in our lives, or things that have been said to us, when we were younger, that have been programmed into our subconscious. And oftentimes we feel like we are just absolutely not enough. We're so many things to so many people. And so we oftentimes, we're mothers, we're sisters, we're girlfriends, we're wives, we're all these things. And a lot of times in our lives, we play it small, trying to be all these things to other people, but never feeling like we're quite enough. And so as I went through a transformation in my life, because I didn't feel pretty enough, didn't feel smart enough, didn't feel thin enough even at times. But as I went through this transformation and the power of forgiveness and realization and understanding that I was always enough. But because of these things that had attached themselves to me and things that have been said, negatively, I bought the lie that I wasn't enough. And so that's how that that's how that came about, just through my coaching experience and realizing that I had been playing small. I've been selling myself short, that I truly was enough. And I've looked around and realized during my awakening that there are women all around us, all around me, that truly believe that same thing, that they're not enough.
Yes. And I love that, because most women deal with low self-esteem. As you mentioned, each and everything that we are as mothers, sisters, aunts, friendships, wives. I mean, you just go down the list, not to include when we're working for someone. So we have a lot on our plate. And sometimes we don't feel enough because things aren't up to our standards.
Yes.
Is there a particular time in your life that you just said enough was enough? What was that point that said enough was enough, and it's time for you to spread the word to other people to understand that they are enough?
There was, I just had been at a very empty place in my life, and it wasn't until, my good friend, I'm just going to give a shout out to him right now, Dr. Ruben West.
Yes, he's wonderful.
Yes, he is. He is wonderful. And one thing that I did was I went through a period of time, sometimes it takes other things to get your focus, to really get you to really get down to what the real problem is. And I'm just going to tell this quick story, but it's how I got to beginning to live my best life, actually. That's Ruben's platform. And he had been starting it, and he called me because, we've been friends for 20 plus years. And he was doing this movement, and he called me and he said, Trace, I want you to buy this shirt. I need you to get this I Am Enough shirt. I need you to take a picture because I'm doing this campaign and blah, blah, blah. And I said, great, anything for you. Gotcha. The shirt came, and I pulled the shirt out of the box, and it said, live your best life across the top of it. And I've been watching, this movement go on, and I pulled the shirt out, and I couldn't put the shirt on. I couldn't put the shirt on, and it just began. The shirt stayed on my dresser for days. And I said, there has to be more for me. This is gnawing at me. And so he called one day and he said, where is the picture? Why haven't you sent me and I broke down because I just knew. I said, I'm not living my best life.
Wow.
And it just, and as the moment I said it, he said, now we can work.
Yes.
And from that, I went through my coaching and I made all these discoveries about myself. And I'd walk through, because I'd had this rough relationship with my mom. And I walked through this transformation, and I realized, while I didn't ever feel like I was enough for my mom, I was judging her at a different stage in her life. I didn't understand that she was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, that her love was beyond measure. I was more than enough. And so as I went through my coaching process and this awakening happened, I realized, you know what? I have to do this for other women. There are women all around. I have to create this movement of I am enough, because there are women out there that I have to free. And so it wasn't until I had that encounter with Dr. West, and he walked me through some really hard places, but it wasn't until I was ready. I had to be ready. And I know that there are listeners out there of yours that have gotten to that place, and they're saying there has to be more. There's got to be more for me. I know there's more, and they're right, because there's greatness in every one of us. And we just have to get there. We just have to get there.
Yes, and that's the important part, is getting there. I think too many people focus on how to get there, or how soon they're going to get there, and oh, it's this, it's that. I can't do this because of this. I can't do this because of that, and they get so afraid of even moving forward. But your platform of I Am Enough, it sounds like it's a guide. It's a map. Their road to success, their road to wherever it is that they're trying to, wherever it is that they're trying to reach. Now, your platform of I Am Enough, what is it that you want people to get from it? Because we hear it, I am enough, but when somebody comes to you, what do you want them to get from it from the platform when it's time to when they get to you?
Absolutely. Oftentimes women come to me in a very broken state. They come in a place of being beat down by life and circumstances, and broken relationships, and broken mother-daughter relationships, broken father-daughter relationships. Or I have young girls that just already at such a young age don't see a way out. They're hopeless, a lot of them. And it's my job. I'm a builder. I'm a builder of women, because I was once broken. And so through the coaching experience, or whether it's a workshop that I'm running, or speaking to a group of women, I want them to know. And they have, the one thing that I always want them to take away is that they just have to believe that there's greatness in them, that there is something that it's in every one of us. Every one of us has come with a gift. And a lot of times life itself, it can weigh you down. But
Yes.
I talked about, you just talked about in the video, it doesn't matter what your past is. See, I had 3 kids by 3 different fathers.
Wow.
And I was in a state, though, of never feeling like I was enough. I was looking for love in the wrong places, until I figured out that happiness, is an inside job. And we should never, ever give that kind of power over to someone else. And that's
Right.
what happened. I'd given my power away. So when I work with women, I help them take back their power, help them understand that your past is just that. It doesn't matter what you've done in your past, that you can rise from all of that. You can rise from that rubble and you can live. You can live. You're not responsible for the person you were yesterday. What you're responsible for is becoming the best version of you. And that's what we do. We discover what their real priority is. What is that real gift? What is that real passion? What is that thing you really desire to do? And then we center their goals of life around those things. Because I don't know if you realize it, but there are a lot of us that are doing a lot of things that are just busy work, or they're empty. We just go about life doing a lot of things that are empty. We have all these goals and we say we want to get here, but when you look at the things that you're actually doing every day, a lot of times they're not even matching up with where you say you want to be.
Yes.
And we all fall privy to that. So that's one of the things that I help women realize. And once they understand, or Oliver Wendell Holmes has a quote that says, once a man or woman's mind has been expanded by an idea, concept, or experience, it can never be satisfied going back to the way it was.
Wow.
And so that's what I help women do, discover that real, authentic woman. That it's in there. It's in every one of us. But
Yeah.
sometimes it gets buried by life.
Yes.
And so that's what I like to do. That's what I want women to walk away with when they work with me. I am enough. And because I am enough, I can do everything that I've set my mind to do. I can achieve every single goal that I've set before me. And so that's what I want them to walk away with.
Oh, that's great. There's so many women that are so broken.
Yeah.
So many women right now that just feels like they've just been beaten down by life. They've been beaten down by people, just everything as a whole. And you said something a little earlier when you started to speak about, oh gosh, it just slipped my mind. But women, I believe it's about women understanding that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I just drew a blank. Oh my gosh, it was something you said, and I wanted to interject. But anyway, women need to understand that they need to come out of that broken place, and that they need to understand that they have a lot. We do have a lot on our shoulders. We do carry a lot, but it's about balance. How is it with balance? We take on everybody's emotions.
Yes.
See, we're not like the men. When our kids are hurting, we're hurting. Not that they're not hurting. Don't get me wrong, but it's like we take it on completely.
Absolutely.
Sometimes if we just think how the men think and watch how they do certain things, sometimes we actually learn something, because it'll help us be able to progress into something even greater.
Yes.
But you had mentioned something that I wanted to bring up. You said your statistics were, you had 3 different fathers, kids' fathers.
Yes.
How are you, or how did you deal with that? Because for me, although my kids have the same father, one of my fears as a woman was to get married, have another baby, and have another, although my husband, I don't say baby daddy, although my husband will be my child's father.
Right.
But it was like, oh my gosh, now I'm a statistic. How did you get through that? Because I know I had a problem with it. I don't mind it anymore because I'm growing, but I want to know, how do you get through that? Because I know many women are dealing with that even now.
They absolutely are. And, for me, my children came from, I as I said earlier, I was looking for something. I was searching, and they were from broken relationships, that didn't work out. My kids were the best thing that could ever happen to me. It was the relationship that didn't work. But my gift was my babies. And so a lot of times we have to get beyond what people think, because that's the real hang up. I had to get beyond and understand that I'm not that person anymore. It was a phase in my life. And if anyone understands life, they understand that life is full of lessons. And if you don't get the lesson, you'll repeat it. And so I was still searching for something outside of myself. That's how I ended up with 3 babies by 3 different men and 3 different personalities. But I had to understand that my life did not exist within those people, that I had to figure out who Traci was. And I had to let go of what the naysayers were saying, because, there were plenty of people saying, well, how are you going to take care of 3 kids?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to do that? Do you understand what the statistics say about, first of all, I had my first child at 18, so I was very young. By 21, I had 2 kids. One of them at that point was special needs. So on top of being a single mom that young, I had a child that had special needs at that time. He'd had a stroke, but when you talk about, that's why I did the video about being relentless, because there's something on the inside. And we all have it. We just have to tap into it. There's that drive on the inside of, it doesn't matter. See, when you look at those children's faces and you understand that you're mom, that it is up to you. It doesn't matter what the other have. You have your own responsibility. Because see, I hear people talk about, I'm the mom and the dad. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
No, you're not. No, you're not. There's a lack. You can only be the best mom that you can possibly be. See, God didn't create us to show a man how to be a man. Only a man can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I had to trust in was that there would be people in my son's lives and my daughter's life as they came along. See, God can fill a void. He can feel where that absent parent is, and so for me, it was trusting and believing that the God in me would show up. I didn't even really realize he was all I had. Yes. So I had to trust in something outside of myself, other than me, and it just helped me get along. And I showed up every day. It didn't matter. There's something in a mom, that allows you to show up. It doesn't matter. Okay, you had a failed relationship. Does that mean because you had a child with this person, you don't try again?
Right.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But you learn to blend them together, and you learn to teach them how to love each other as blood, brother and sister, or brother and brother, or sister and sister, however it comes down for you. But the important part is building a family and teaching them core values and helping them understand that they're enough.
Yes. Yes. You know what? There's something you mentioned about being the best mom that you can be. Mm-hmm. I tend to sometimes get it from people when I say I am not the father, because I'm not. Right. And sometimes we bring on more than what we need to. So we need to drop it. If I feel like I have to be the father and try to fill a male's role, now I'm adding more stress on me than I need to, because I would never feel that.
Right. Absolutely. And we make that mistake. We tell ourselves that lie. It's absolutely not true. And you're out of your lane.
Yes.
You can't be a man. You can tell your son how to open the door for a lady, for a woman, for a girl. But that innate, that natural instinct that a man has,
yes,
we don't own that. We don't possess that.
No.
It's not humanly possible. He didn't wire us that way.
Correct.
If we had everything, why would we need?
Right.
We don't have it all.
Yeah, and I always mention, and I try to show my kids things, even just as a mother, just, even if I did have a male in the house, It'll be automatic. Go take out the trash, go do this, go do that. But there's a way that a male does certain things. And when his son sees him do something a certain way, then that's what he follows, because a lot of young men want to be like their father. A lot of these men, good or bad, they can be gangbanging, but guess what? They want to be like dad.
Right.
They could be the top dog at somewhere at a big office, but they want to be like dad. So it's what we instill. And if we continue to try to, again, put on these extra roles that we don't need, then you understand that that's just one less thing you have to worry about. That's just one less thing you have to balance. Just balance life, and then just focus on what you're called to focus on. Absolutely. That's really important.
Yes. And the thing about that, we talk about our sons, but I dare not leave out our daughters.
Oh, no.
Because there is something about the way a father, the relationship that he has with his daughter. Oftentimes that's the foundation that oftentimes we lack, because there is nothing like the love of a father and his daughter. Oftentimes, you hear people talk about, we fall to, the first compliments we hear, or the first man that comes along and tells you you're beautiful. A father that has already planted those seeds in his daughter, she just doesn't fall for that. She's like, my father tells me that all the time. You got to come with something new.
Right. Right.
So there are things that even they plant in their daughters that regulate what kind of man she's looking for. Because he's got to treat her like a princess,
Oh, yeah.
So there are things, there's absolutely, things. I could go on and on about that.
Well, but before I let you go, we're running short on time, but I also wanted you to just elaborate on something you had talked about. You said you were trying to find and had to know who Traci was. And I mentioned this a lot of times to different people. I was interviewed yesterday by a lady on her show, and I told her I used to hate when people say, oh, I got to go find myself. And I'm like, what do you mean? You're standing right there. You don't need to find yourself.
Right.
But then I realized one day that I had found myself. And I remember saying to myself saying to someone, I said, yeah, I had to find who I was. And then it clicked. I was like, no, that's what they're saying. Yeah. But now I understand what it means to find myself. What is finding yourself to you?
Finding yourself to me is that place that you can be completely honest with who you are. And sometimes it takes us getting all of the distractions out of the way. Because here's what I figured out, that when I was younger, there were things that I would do. I was always busy. And I figured out, when I really got real with myself, the reason I was so busy, I didn't know who Traci was. So to sit down and be just still, that was too much.
Yes.
I don't even know who she is. How can I spend time just with her? And now that I know who, I love spending time.
Oh, yes.
I can create. I can take a bubble bath. I can spend time with Traci.
Yes.
Because when you get to know her and you figure out the things that you don't like about her, Gandhi says that our greatness lies not so much in being able to remake the world, but being able to remake ourselves. Finding yourself, a lot of times you're going to find out there's some things you don't like. Mm-hmm. And what are you going to do about it? And so for me, it became a journey of, this is who I am.
Yes.
There's some things I don't like about her. And so I began to change those things and work on those things. And pretty soon I found, I like you. I like hanging out with you, and there's a joy in being honest with yourself and just showing up for who you are and the things that make up you. So for me, finding yourself is just being honest about your likes, your dislikes, your fears, all of those things that make up you, your horrible ways of handling finances, those horrible pieces of you that you don't never really want to think about with that. You have to take ownership in why your relationship failed. Take on your part, own your stuff,
Yes.
and then deal with that and deal with her. And so for me, that is what it is, just being very, very real and down to earth, even when it's ugly.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. We're going to wrap everything up. I want you to let us know a little bit more about what you do. I know you're having a Google Hangout coming up here in the next about 30 minutes. So tell my audience how they can contact you, how they can follow you, and more about your show.
Wonderful. Your listeners, and thank you again, Kama, for
Oh,
this
you are
time.
welcome.
It's been a joy. I have a Facebook page. You can reach me at my personal Facebook page, which is Traci Ward, or you can go to my fan page, I Am Enough Movement Traci Ward, and like my Facebook page there. My website is www.iamenouughtw.com. And you can reach out to me there. Feel free to leave me comments or anything. But yes, I am having a hangout in exactly 30 minutes from now. And I'm doing a Overcoming Broken series. And my first guest tonight is Kira McConico out of Kansas City, Missouri. She's written a book called Fixing Broken. And she's going to share her real, just uncut story about her brokenness and how she overcame that place in her life. And it's going to be a very, very empowering session. So I encourage, your listeners, you feel free to tune in, and it's just going to be an awesome, awesome hangout.
Great. I'm looking forward to that. And also for those that are watching, and you may be watching later, it may not be today, and it may not be live, I should say. I'll have a link. So that way it'll link from my YouTube over to Traci's, and you can follow her and subscribe to her as well. But thank you so much, Traci, for being on. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Kama. You have a great evening.
You too. And before I let everyone go, I just wanted to leave you with this. Her platform of I Am Enough. Just take time. Just if it's one day, 1 hour, take some time for yourself and re-examine who you are. And ask yourself, do you feel like you're not enough? If you don't feel like you're enough, it's okay, because we have to start somewhere. You have to go out and find who you are. You have to know who you are, because that just makes a better person for you, for those around you, for the things that you're doing in life. We all start somewhere. We all have stories. And I'm sure someone right now has a great story that they want to get out. They may have a great platform that they need to start. They may have a movement that they want to start. Absolutely. But don't give up. Know that you are enough. With that said, to follow me, you can find me on social media. Just go under Kama Speaks. I'll be on all the social media. I'm on Facebook as well as Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. I'm also on LinkedIn. So make sure you follow me, subscribe to me on YouTube so you can catch up with more great interviews that are coming up, and you can watch my past interviews. And what I love about the month of June is that June 11th will be my my second year anniversary of pursuing your passion, or Kama Speaks, on this platform. So I'm so grateful that I was able to create this, and God has given this to me. So I'm going to have great guests. I want to thank Ruben West. He is awesome with Black Belt Speakers. This man is phenomenal, and I'm going to continue to say it. He is absolutely phenomenal. The last few guests you've seen on my show has been a Black Belt speaker, and you can see with their professionalism, with what they're doing, they are on the rise. So make sure you check out Ruben West. Make sure you check out Traci Ward and what she's doing, and continue to follow me, continue to watch, continue to spread the word. And if you want to be a guest on my show, you can always email me at Kama, Kama, @kamaspeaks.com. And if that doesn't work, because we tend to have problems, it's the internet. It will bounce back, or I'll get it and people think it'll bounce back. You can also go to forsalebycomma@gmail.com. And don't forget my blog talk radio that I do on Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, called, I'm sorry, it's under domestic violence, where we talk to domestic violence victims, those that are affected by domestic violence directly or indirectly, and then also giving you tips of how not to get into the relationship and how to move forward from the relationships that you've been in. Okay, with all that talking, I need to get a lot of water because my throat is hurting. But this was a great show. Thank you, Traci, again for being on the show. Again, make sure you follow Traci. How do they find you? If somebody's watching live right now, how do they find your show?
Actually, you can go to my Facebook page, my Ward Facebook page. I just posted the link. You can click on the link just above the banner advertising the show tonight, and it'll take you directly to the Hangout, and you can watch us right there. And, you know, feel free to put your questions in, go over and join the I Am Enough movement group. And that's where we're going to be taking questions and posting questions for Kira and all that good stuff. So please join us.
Awesome. And make sure you tag me on that. If you can, tag me on it. Unfortunately, I can't be on. I have to run out to a school board meeting.
Absolutely.
Tag me in it, or put my business page on it, or my regular page on it, and hopefully some people will click on and watch what you're doing.
Absolutely.
All right. All right. Again, for those that are watching, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to check out my guest, Traci Ward. And remember, no matter what you do in life, always pursue your passion.